What if I told you Abraham Lincoln almost died before he ever became president? Years before that fateful night at Ford's Theater, there were other moments, buried in whispers, drenched in irony, when Lincoln came dangerously close to death. This is the one where they almost killed Abraham Lincoln, and he survived to give history the side eye. By the late 1850s, Abraham Lincoln wasn't just tall, he was a towering threat to slavery and the status quo of the American South. When he won the presidency in November 1860, southern states erupted faster than a firecracker in July. South Carolina seceded from the Union just weeks later. Violence was in the air, the kind of violence that kills presidents. In February 1861, just weeks before Lincoln's inauguration, he planned a train journey from Illinois to Washington, D.C. Thousands turned out to cheer him on in city after city, but in Baltimore, men plotted his murder. Baltimore, bless its Confederate-loving heart, was a hotbed of Southern sympathy. The plan was simple: assassinate Lincoln as he changed trains at Calvert Street Station, stab him in the middle of a crowd. Bold, but someone was eavesdropping. Enter Allan Pinkerton, founder of the famous Pinkerton Detective Agency. Hired to protect Lincoln, Pinkerton uncovered the plot, and so did Kate Warren, America's first female private detective. Disguised and embedded in Confederate circles, Warren overheard the plan. Lincoln would be stabbed in the chaos of the crowd. The solution? Disguise. On the night of February 22, 1861, Abraham Lincoln was quietly slipped into a sleeper car, wearing a shawl and soft felt cap to hide his very obvious 6-foot 4-inch frame. He passed through Baltimore in silence. The would-be assassins never saw him, or the fashion crime he committed in the name of safety. 3 years later, in August 1864, Lincoln wasn't just a president. He was a wartime commander, a symbol of Union grit, and still very much a target. One evening, he decided to ride solo from the White House to his summer home, the Soldiers' Home in Washington. As he rode under the fading light, a shot rang out. His horse bolted. Lincoln lost his hat. When the guards found him moments later, shaken but intact, they picked up the famous stovepipe hat. It had a bullet hole straight through it. Lincoln laughed it off. Just a hunter, he claimed, because apparently hunters in Washington aimed directly for presidential hats. Secretary of War Edwin Stanton wasn't buying it. From that moment on, Lincoln got Secret Service-level attention, minus the earpieces. Before Booth pulled the trigger in Ford's Theater, he had another idea: kidnapping. It was March 1865. Lincoln was expected to attend a play at Campbell Hospital. Booth and his conspirators planned to intercept the president on his way, overpower him, and smuggle him into the South as a hostage. But fate, or Lincoln's sudden change of plans, intervened. Lincoln cancelled his trip that night. The plot fizzled. Booth, frustrated and increasingly unhinged, dropped the ransom idea and went full Shakespearean villain. April 14, 1865. The night etched into American memory. Lincoln attended the play Our American Cousin at Ford's Theater. At 10:15 p.m., John Wilkes Booth slipped into the president's box and fired a single shot. This time, Lincoln didn't survive. But what history forgets is how often he almost didn't make it to that moment. Had any of the previous attempts succeeded, the Baltimore ambush, the bullet in the dark, the foiled kidnapping, the course of American history would look like fan fiction. No Emancipation Proclamation, no Gettysburg Address, no Lincoln Memorial, just Abe Who in dusty textbooks. If Lincoln had died in 1861, the Civil War might still have happened, but with a weaker president at the helm. A fractured Union, a possible Confederate win, a very different 4th of July barbecue. If he died in 1864, re-election might have gone to George McClellan, who was allegedly ready to shake hands with the Confederacy and call it a day. In every alternate timeline, the world as we know it shifts dramatically. History isn't just written by the victors, it's written by survivors. Lincoln dodged more bullets than most action heroes, but in the end it took a final shot to silence him and immortalize him. This has been Allegedly Historic, where history might be true or just well told. Subscribe for more hidden history, assassination plots, and stories the textbooks forgot.